How many people out there today are familiar with AVG as a product itself? Maybe use it on your computer? Excellent, I like to see that. Today it's very simple for us. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the company itself and what drives us, and a little bit about our business model so you can better understand how we look at geographic expansion and M&A activities. So today it's really simple. We believe everyone should be protected. If you look at how we drive the business, it's based off the back of three simple principles. How do we acquire more free users? How do we keep them longer? And how do we increase their lifetime value or monetize them more effectively through adjacent products, through sticky products? So if you look at our overall business, we've got over 100 million users today worldwide, very dominant penetration in English-speaking countries. We operate in an industry that's well beyond just security. Security is an $8 billion market, growing at about 8%. We play in a much larger market, and I'll explain how we do that in just a few minutes. We focus on products that are high quality and meet some kind of a user need, whether that be security or otherwise. And today, we've got a very web-centric business model. Over 70% of our revenue comes through the web itself. We've got good brand awareness, up to 25% in a lot of geographies. And again, that power of that user base is what really drives the business. So I think a lot of you today think of AVG as a security company. And that is our foundation. We try to leverage security, trust, et cetera, so we can move into adjacent and similar markets. So we move from pure security to peace of mind. Another way to put that is we try to be the guys out there taking away any frustrations you might have on your computer or your mobile device, whether that's a tablet or a mobile phone. But again, the foundation is security, but we've moved and have great revenue streams in a lot of adjacent markets, such as online backup, such as system tune-up, et cetera, across multiple platforms. So when you think of us, and the reason I'm giving you this information is because it helps frame how we expand geographically and how we look at also our M&A strategy. But one thing we have in common with a lot of guys on this screen, whether it's Facebook or Zynga or Google, is the fact that we have over 100 million users. The fact that we have a good relationship with them based on trust, we have good customer analytics, and we're able to leverage that active user base to monetize them both directly through cross-sell and upsell, as well as indirectly through relationships with Google, partnerships with VeriSign, and the like. So today, we operate in about 120 plus different countries due to the nature of the web-based product distribution. But we've got to focus in a few areas. So while we focus in the US, the UK, parts of Europe, et cetera, when we look at geo expansion, there's an awful lot that we have to consider. But the core things go right back to, can I acquire users in these areas, and can I monetize them, either today or sometime in the near future? And so that's a key part. So today, when you look at where are we expanding to, it's really countries like China, like India. And these are areas that today, our business model, based on free, which we've been doing for over 10 years, isn't unique. So China is an interesting model that we've been playing in for about a year and a half. So again, looking at your approach is very important. Today, we're not differentiated in some of those markets. It's great for us over here, but if you look at India, China, some of those other markets, it means we have to change what we do. We either have to bundle more or we have to give away something different and look at security very differently as well. So some of the things that we need to consider when we look at and evaluate which geographies we're going to move into next, the list is really long. But I think the core to our strategy is if we can seed markets inexpensively, then that's great. But we've learned a really big lesson over the last couple of years, because you think, okay, so it took us about 11 years to get that customer base to over 100 million. And so if we push out the free product online as a way to acquire users, it's nice, but it's too slow. If you don't combine PR activities, social media activities, educate the channel in some cases, and sometimes partner with someone who knows the region, then it just takes too long. And if we're looking at acquiring millions of people in any of these geos that we can monetize, say, in a year or two, maybe 3, then we have to move a little quicker. I think that free isn't necessarily good enough anymore. The model has been around a while. So now that's why we've moved to other platforms. You heard me mention online backup. You heard me mention system tune-up, et cetera. Other things that people will buy from AVG because we're a trusted friend to them. We're the guys who secure their endpoints, their mobile devices. So in some cases, there's a lot of geographies that we're now looking at, and we're not even talking about protecting the endpoint because the mobility and other platforms have kind of leapfrogged those technologies. So now we're more focused, say in China and India, on the mobile phone. And we're more focused on the tablet because these are the devices that people are using more aggressively. A few things that we've learned along the way as well are around it does take time to establish a local business, get everything up and running. But I think one of the most important things that I've learned, because I've had a few wins and a few misses in geo expansion, I'm happy to tell you more about some of those, is the right people. If you can hire the right man or woman to come in and open up the market, who's got a lot of good connections, who understands how to leverage social media, PR, and the web, then your chances of success are huge. And along the way, you know, sometimes we hire right, sometimes we don't, but the ability to react quickly and correct it helps us in some of these geos. Also, another thing that we find is how do you make sure that the people you're putting in place are connected to headquarters? Because today we operate in about 12 or 13 different countries, but we've got offices in about 7. And so how do you make sure they're understanding the vision and the strategy of the business, their goals are very clear, and they're not operating as a standalone? After say if we've got 20 people in China, how do I ensure that they're motivated, they understand the direction they need to go? And it's very simple, ARM, right? Acquire, retain, and monetize. But how do they do that that's unique to them, and how does that fit into our overall global strategy? You can't underestimate how powerful that is, because as you open a new country, everybody's really enthused, but give it 6 months or a year and they feel like a standalone out there, they lose all their motivation, and that does impact results. Okay, so I'm not sure if that covers an initial introduction to us and how we look at global expansion, but I thought I'd open up to see if there's any questions out there. I can share a lot of experiences around what's worked and hasn't. So yeah, go ahead.
Tim Merrill, DigiCapital, we're a digital investment bank. We spend a lot of time in China, and so when you look at, say, Tencent buying a 16% stake in Kingsoft, they're moving very heavily into your market, and even there, with their scale, they're only the number 2 in the security market. Yeah. How do you compete domestically with them? Yeah,
that's a challenge. What we've done in China is we've come in and taken a very low profile to better understand it, understand the market itself, and understanding that, like you mentioned, free is everywhere. We're looking at things such as secure browsing. If you look at Qihoo, we spent a lot of time with them, months and months, understanding China and possibly partnering with them, which in the end we didn't do, but it was really enlightening because you looked at all that mattered to them was grabbing the user and holding them forever. And they're pretty aggressive about that. But if you look at how AVG is approaching the market, since we've got quite a breadth of products, we can offer a little bit more, but in reality, it's got to be free. There has to be those alternative methods of monetization. So things like system tune-up. An average Chinese user wipes their entire machine every 6 months and starts over because products lock themselves in and they can't get rid of them, and there's a fair amount of malware. So the approach is very different, but you have to be part of their experience every day. That online secure browser is one great example of how you can move in China. And the other part is you have to have really strong ties to the government. We have guys that are there, that are technologists, that are sharing malware samples and really being part, But it's a slow roll, as you know. Does anybody else have any questions? Right here? I'll repeat it. Sure. The question was, how do we combat Microsoft coming into the security market? As you know, they're getting more and more aggressive about it. So today, the way we look at that is, while we applaud the fact that they're adding a layer of security, it's a little bit misleading. It's very basic security, not enough to keep you protected. So they are coming into the market. They are penetrating, because most people think it's okay. 3 years ago, we started to move outside of just security and kind of envelope the brand in what I call peace of mind. That's why we're now in adjacent markets that help us to both take the freemium model to other markets, again, tune up, backup, et cetera. But it also lets us acquire users in a whole different TAM. Because security for us, it is an acquisition vehicle. We'll keep offering more and more for free to acquire, but you have to spread out, because the power of AVG is that user base. If I acquire them through security or through other products, to me, it's still the same ability to communicate with, understand, and cross-sell, upsell, and monetize directly and indirectly.